Alright, look, I was gonna let this one breathe. I really was. But Kayla Malec just broke her silence kinda, and her reaction to James Charles' response to the Evan Johnson situation? Yeah, it speaks volumes. We're talking receipts, subtle shade, legal drama, and the kind of silence that says more than any 20-minute apology video ever could. If you're wondering whether James Charles is finally done for, or if this is just another PR cleanup round, stick around. I'm breaking it all down, and trust me, you're gonna want to hear every piece of this. So let's rewind real quick. For anyone who's just logging in and like, wait, Evan who? Here's the short version, no fluff. Kayla Malec, TikTok creator, goes public a few weeks ago with serious allegations against her ex, Evan Johnson. And I mean serious. She posts a YouTube series detailing physical and emotional abuse. It's raw, it's hard to watch, it's real. Fast forward, Evan gets arrested, the internet rallies behind Kayla, and everyone's like, good, finally some justice. Then, out of nowhere, James Charles' name pops up. Turns out he was still in contact with Evan, allegedly gave him advice to stay silent, and even flew him out to LA to chill for a weekend. Yes, the same Evan accused of it. And James, supposedly friends with Kayla. Y'all already know, it did not sit well. Now James finally decides to address everything. Not in a sit-down tearjerker like before, but in a kind of damage control video with receipts and screenshots. In the video, he says he doesn't support Evan, didn't know about the thought it was just a toxic breakup, was manipulated by Evan, regrets getting involved, and oh yeah, he's suing Zach Sellers, Evan's ex-best friend, for spreading lies. He shows texts where Kayla made jokes about the breakup, implying she didn't let on how serious things were, and according to James, he cut ties with Evan as soon as he realized the truth.
I really to admit it, but I did have a brief friendship with Evan Johnson that started and ended well before I ever learned about any of the violence that was going on behind the scenes. He reached out to me a couple of days later asking me for advice and told me the same exact story that Zach Sellers believed and then repeated on the Be Better podcast, which was that the relationship was toxic, they both said things and did things that they shouldn't have, and a bunch of other stories that genuinely made me believe Evan Johnson was the victim in the situation. He told me that he moved back to Nashville to go to church and get therapy and try to become a better man, and he seemed vulnerable. He seemed real, and he seemed scared that Kayla was going to get online and start telling lies about him, and he knew exactly what to say to relate it back to a situation that I was in that made me have sympathy for him and be on his side. I feel so dumb for ever believing him, but when I was in a similar situation, all I cared about was anybody treating me like a human being and hearing me out and being there for him, so that's what I tried to provide. We became closer, we would start FaceTiming, he was very and depressed, and eventually he told me that he wanted to come out to LA to escape and get his mind off of things for a weekend, so I invited him out. All we did was sit on the couch, order food, watch movies, but over the course of the weekend, I slowly started to notice that some of his stories were not exactly lining up. There were inconsistencies, and I started to get worried that I might be on the wrong side of things, and that was confirmed as soon as Kayla noticed that he was at my house and I had to lie to her.
Okay, on paper, that looks decent. But context is everything, and the timing of that video was sus. He drops it right before Kayla's court hearing, when she legally can't respond. It seemed very calculated. So what does Kayla do? She doesn't drop a statement, she doesn't film a response video, but what she does do is way more telling. First, she likes comments under her old videos, stuff like James Charles is shady, can't believe he did this, and Kayla deserves better. And look, that might sound small, but online likes are loud. That's Kayla's version of a mic drop. Then, in an interview Zach Sellers does, Kayla FaceTimes him at the end. She's all smiles, saying she supports him, loves him, and appreciates him speaking up. Zach, the dude who's been calling out James publicly, dragging him for being fake and enabling Evan? Yeah, that's who Kayla's giving the green light to, not James. Add that to her Instagram story, cryptic quotes about betrayal, silence, healing, and yeah, we know exactly who she's talking about. Let's talk about Zach Sellers for a second. The guy used to be Evan's friend. He's the one who went public with details about what James was doing behind the scenes. He claims James tried to silence him, sent legal threats to his modeling agency, is more concerned about his image than accountability. And the legal email he posted? That wasn't fake. James's lawyers really did reach out. Not directly to Zach, but to his agency. Kinda shady, not gonna lie. Zach is standing his ground, posting updates, defending Kayla, calling out manipulation. He's not letting this one go. And clearly, neither is Kayla. Here's where things get frustrating. Because James Charles has done this before. Big scandal. I didn't know. Some text receipts, cry face thumbnail, disappear. Then come back with a makeup tutorial like nothing happened. We've seen it. And the thing is, it always works. His fan base shrinks a little, sure, but he always rebuilds. Why? Because he's a brand now. He's not just a creator, he's a product. But this time, it's different. This isn't drama, this is real life. There's a court case. There's trauma. There's a woman who risked everything to speak up, and the guy she trusted turned around and gave her a couch to crash on. That's not PR friendly. That's cold. And honestly, the public's over it. TikTok's calling James a manipulator. Twitter's memeing his past apologies. Reddit's out here building timelines of every scandal he's been in since 2018. And the biggest criticism? People are saying he never actually changes. He just gets better at hiding. He's not dumb. He knows what he's doing.
I'm confused as to why James Charles would believe Evan Johnson over Kayla Malec, and there's reasons for that. First off, James states that he didn't really take what Kayla was saying to him in those text messages as that serious because, you know, him and her were never really that close. They never really had that serious of conversations. They never really hung out, right? Yet for some reason, he believed Evan Johnson immediately. But James, how many times had you hung out with Evan before he DM'd you? Like, how many times did you hang out with Evan? Because you made it a point of telling us how many times you hung out with Kayla, which was multiple times, including 2 collabs. But again, how many times had you hung out with Evan? Because I'm pretty sure that would be 0. And if you ever had hung out with him, it was because she was there. You may have met him once through her. You took his word over hers, even though you didn't know him at all. 0 relationship. 0 background. Explain to me how that makes any sense.
And this whole Evan thing, it's not just a bad look. It shows a pattern, one where he centers himself even when he's not the victim. Here's the thing I don't think enough people are talking about. Kayla's silence right now, that's not weakness. That's strategy. She's not running to do an impulsive live stream. She's not name-dropping for views. She's not doing any of the chaotic internet energy we usually see in these scandals. She's letting people expose themselves in real time. And it's smart. Let's be real. Court cases are serious. Anything she says can be used against her. So she's doing what she has to do, play it cool, protect herself legally, and let the truth stack up quietly in her favor, like it has. Every comment she likes, every person she publicly backs like Zach, it's intentional. It tells her audience, I see what's happening. I know what's being said. I just can't talk yet, but I will. And when she does, yeah, it's gonna hit different. Because by then, James's side will have been dissected, debunked, and diluted. And Kayla's gonna come in with clarity, credibility, and, let's be honest, public support already lined up. Her silence isn't passive, it's tactical. And I don't think James was expecting that. Let's zoom out for a sec. Because this isn't just about James Charles and Kayla Malec, it's about how influencer culture continues to reward the same cycle. They mess up, they issue an apology, they get called brave for taking accountability. Then they're back on their sponsored posts a week later. And listen, people are tired. Like, how many times do we have to watch someone hurt others, dodge consequences, and then slap on a ring light and say, I've changed? How many apologies before it's just brand management instead of real growth? This whole situation is a wake-up call. It's a reminder that being famous doesn't mean you're trustworthy, that you can have millions of followers but still prioritize your image over doing what's right. James Charles is talented. Nobody's denying that. But talent doesn't cancel out behavior. And Kayla? She's one of the few creators in this space showing what real courage looks like. Putting her trauma on the line, staying composed while people with platforms try to twist her story, and not engaging in the circus. The influencer world wants to turn everything into a storyline. But not everything is content. Sometimes it's real life. And that's exactly what this is. So what happens now? Well, James says he won't speak again until after the hearing. Which, sure, but the damage is done. Kayla doesn't need to clap back. Her silence is loaded. Her likes, her stories, her association with Zach, that says everything. And honestly, people are watching. The patience for influencers who refuse to grow is running out. James could lay low, rebuild again, and pop back up with a pallet drop in 6 months. But more and more people are waking up to the act. Meanwhile, Kayla's story isn't done. Once the court stuff wraps, yeah, we'll probably hear her full side. And that might be the final nail. So now I'm tossing it to you. Do you think James Charles is being genuine? Do you buy his I didn't know excuse? Or do you think Kayla's quiet response is all the truth we need? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this one's layered. Anyway, this concludes today's video. Be sure to subscribe to LoafTube for future celebrity videos and turn on that post notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. Until then, see you in the next one.